All right, today we're going to get into the story of a true football titan, Lothar Matthäus. And his career? Wow. It's one of the greatest stories of redemption in the history of sports. We're going to break down exactly how it all went down.
But it gets you thinking about a much bigger question, one that goes way beyond just one player or even one sport. I mean, how is a legend really made? Is it just this perfect, unbroken string of wins, or is there something more to it? Well, for Matthäus, and honestly for so many of the greats, the answer is crystal clear. His story tells us that true greatness, it's often forged in the fire of failure. It's all about how you pick yourself up after a crushing defeat. That's what really defines you. So let's start right at the beginning, with those early setbacks that really shaped him. Because this was not some overnight success story, not even close. It was a journey marked by some pretty major disappointment. It really kicked off in 1984 with his super frustrating group stage exit at the Euros. A young Matthäus, he just couldn't seem to make his mark. But the real gut punch, that came 2 years later, the 1986 World Cup final, a heartbreaking 3-2 loss to Maradona's Argentina. And that defeat, it wasn't just a loss. It became, as the source material calls it, unfinished business, a ghost that would literally haunt him for years. But that unfinished business? Well, it became the fuel for his fire, and it all led to the ultimate turning point, the 1990 World Cup in Italy. This wasn't just another tournament for Matthäus. No way. This was his one shot to completely rewrite his own story. And this slide, man, it just shows you the transformation perfectly. The Matthäus we saw in 1990 was a completely different animal. He went from being this talented but kind of haunted supporting player in '86 to the undisputed captain, rocking the iconic number 10 shirt. He was no longer just a part of the team. He was the team, driven by that one single-minded goal, redemption. And his performance that year? It was an absolute masterpiece. As the captain, he put the entire team on his back. As a goal scorer, he was just lethal, bagging 4 critical goals. But it was more than that. He was the orchestrator, controlling the entire tempo of every single game from midfield with this incredible authority. He even steered them through that nail-biting penalty shootout against England in the semis. Just incredible. And then came the final. A rematch against Argentina, of all teams. But this time, the story had a different ending. 1-0. That was it. A single penalty was all it took. And just like that, the demons of 1986 were gone, finally exorcised. Lothar Matthäus lifted the World Cup trophy.
So, what happens after you finally climbed that mountain? After you get everything you've ever worked for? Well, for Matthäus, the entire world was now at his feet. And the recognition that came next just cemented his place at the absolute peak of the game.
And check this out. It just shows you how total his dominance was. He won the league title with Inter Milan, which at the time was the toughest league on the planet. He was crowned the Ballon d'Or winner in 1990, the first German to get that in 20 years, and then followed it up with FIFA World Player of the Year in '91. This was without a doubt the absolute peak.
But you know how these stories go. They're rarely that simple, are they? His career didn't just end on that perfect storybook high. The later years, they brought more turbulence, creating a much more complicated and, frankly, a much more human legacy. Yeah, those incredible highs were followed by some pretty significant lows. You had the shock quarterfinal exit at the '94 World Cup, then a really humiliating group stage flameout at Euro 2000 in his final tournament at 39 years old. And his career in coaching after that, well, it never even came close to matching the success he had as a player. But, and this is the absolute key takeaway, despite all those later stumbles, the source material is clear. It says, nothing could diminish what he achieved in that Italian summer. That one moment, that one tournament was so powerful, so defining, that it just stands apart from everything else. It's untouchable. So let's break it down one last time. Why was Italia '90 the moment that cemented it all? Well, first, it was pure redemption. Sweet revenge for '86. It was validation that, yes, he could lead Germany to glory as their captain. It was the absolute pinnacle of his skill and his leadership. And ultimately, it was the moment he became immortal, when he went from being a great player to a true, undeniable legend. Which really leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? What truly defines a legacy? Is it that one single perfect peak of achievement, or is it the entire turbulent journey, the failures, the comebacks, the highs, the lows, and all the messy, complicated stuff in between? Something to think about.